I'd like to introduce the County Commissioner, whom most of you know anyway, Paulette Burdick. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, honored board members, and residents of RiverWalk. I am your County Commissioner, Paulette Burdick, and I'm thrilled to be here this evening to wish you all a Happy New Year and to kind of update you on a few things. At the County Commission, things are always changing. There's new opportunities being put before us. Last fall, I had two town hall meetings, one on the agricultural reserve, and then just last month, the one on Minto, which is a very substantial project proposed for the acreage area. And upcoming in February, I'm going to have one community meeting on All Aboard Florida. That's that new high-speed rail from Miami to Orlando. And then one here in the western communities on the MPO. That's Palm Beach County's Metropolitan Planning Organization, and that's how we do transportation in the 5-year plan and also in the 30 and 35-year plan moving forward. I've also brought you the latest guide to services for your new residents, and I'll leave them here with you all, and if anybody would like an updated one. And we are very blessed in Palm Beach County to have a lot of individuals who volunteer their time to support our communities, our schools, to improve the quality of life for all of us residents. And I'd like to thank Miles for working on, I think, the most important issue facing Palm Beach County, South Florida, and the nation, and that's water. He's very knowledgeable, so thank you, Miles. And I would be delighted to address any particular questions that anybody has. Otherwise, I'll say good evening. Any questions, thoughts?
Do you want to talk about the proposed flyover?
Well, in our Metropolitan Planning Organization, it's our transportation program. We are looking at the 35-year plan. This is the 30, 35, 30, 40 plan, and within that plan there is proposed, it is unfunded, but proposed 4 flyovers on Okeechobee Boulevard from Okeechobee and 441 through Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard and Okeechobee Boulevard. So we will be talking about that at the Metropolitan Organizational Meeting, Town Hall meeting, and also alternative modes to transportation, looking at how we can plan for the future. There will be 3 million additional residents in South Florida in 2035. So we have to plan now for how we want to transport those people. I know that in 2035, I will probably not be the best driver, so I would like to have other alternative modes of transportation, and perhaps many of us in this room would consider that also. But there are a lot of places around the world that have already implemented and using different modes of transportation. I think we should look at them and seriously consider them, because they are probably just as cost effective as looking at these very expensive flyovers and having Okeechobee Boulevard look like Southern Boulevard. Thank you for that question, Bert.
Anyone else? Oh, I have another one coming.
Okay.
I think we're kind of worried about Minto on the grounds that it's a huge project, and we have not really improved the county's infrastructure down here with regard to transportation. I imagine it worries Miles about the additional water they're going to need. All told, to us it looks like a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, the current piece of property that we refer to as Minto West currently has, through state legislation, they are entitled to 3,000 homes, and I won't specify the amount of commercial because I'm not quite sure, can't recall the exact number of square feet. But it certainly will have an impact. And it's not only the Minto piece of property, it's the old Vavris piece of property over on North Lake Boulevard, and then what I refer to as the old Vavris property out west of that is now owned by GL Homes. All these large developments will have an impact on Palm Beach County and on the roadway network that currently exists.
In relation to the Minto project, I met last Thursday with some people from the acreage, and I could see in their faces they have tremendous concern because I believe their way of life is over. And once that project gets, because the roadways alone, plus the water, and they could just see it. If they sink any wells and have anything else, they're sort of being on an island within themselves. There's no longer exist. They're just going to be, I could see it in their faces. They just don't think that's going to survive. They're not going to, because they're on well water. And that's just something that they won't be able to be in forever.
Well, it's not only their drinking water, which for all of us in South Florida, it's, Miles, you know water better than any of us here in the room, but we know that the future of water is the quality of the water and the quantity of the water is facing us all. And there is a plan being developed right now to build a new reservoir. They call it the C51 reservoir out west of Southern Boulevard. And if you would like a presentation on that, what they're looking at, the governance piece, the cost piece, right now the price tag is $1 billion. And the first phase is water not for Palm Beach County. The first phase of the C51 project will be for Broward County because they have essentially run out of
water.
Water. But out in the Minto, not only is it drinking water and their wells, and the county may extend the service out there for those that want it, but the other piece is the flooding, is the storm water. We saw what happened with Isaac, Tropical Storm Isaac, last year. It was a 1 in 100 year, and just this past week down in the Lantana and the Boynton area, that event was a 1 in 5,000 event. And I think the takeaway message for all communities is the maintenance. When they went back to look at some of those flooded areas, they found those drains full of coconuts. So the water can't drain if we don't maintain our own systems that flow into Lake Worth Drainage District, then flows into the governance of South Florida Water Management. So it was a good wake-up call for all of our communities to look at their maintenance contracts and making sure that their stormwater is addressed. But the stormwater issue out in the acreage, the Minto area, is also of a concern.
There's a lot of concerns out there.
Well, we've wondered, since you're building a reservoir, and we are a reservoir that has already been built, is it possible to get the county's approval to raise our weir 1 foot? That'll contain 40 million gallons of water.
Well, I know that we've been working with it with South Florida Water Management and the County Utilities Department, and it's still an ongoing conversation. The city of West Palm Beach is trying to negotiate a deal with the folks out at Indian Trails to take their water, and we're continuing that dialogue, and hopefully we will be able to establish better relationships and trust so that we can move forward with some very important water projects that would be good for those residents out west and for us here that depend on the drinking water right out in your backyard.
In relation to the Indian Trails, like I say, I've been meeting with the people from Indian Trails, and I've also talked to them. But in relation to raising our weir, we did go to the district, and we had to get an engineering study plus a modeling that had to be done before they would even consider it. And the city had stepped up, and they are right now, it's in process, and hopefully I'll get some information to come back to RiverWalk and everybody else and report on what the engineering study has been done. and I should, by the end of the month, I may have some information.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just let everybody know, those 3 projects that you spoke about, that the water is coming from the plant that draws the water out from under us, so that once those developments are in,
Well,
completed,
Steve,
drain,
I understand.
drain is going to be considerably...
Well, if it does come from System 8, yes, it will. We will be devastated beyond your belief if it does come from System 8, being well-filled number 8, the counties, for
And that
Minto.
has to do with the development.
That will be a big issue.
The experts with regards to the C-51 reservoir believe that when the water leaves the C-51 canal and comes, as it travels, that it will in fact replenish some of the well fields as it passes by. I don't know if it goes by 8, but engineers are saying.
Yeah, this all has to be looked at, and right now the city is doing a modeling, which I really applaud the city. They're going ahead and looking at modeling the whole area, which has not been done in over 25 years. And everything, the modeling that they've done from years back is outdated,
Right.
and a lot of the permits are invalid.
Right.
And especially the county's permit for System 8 is invalid right now because it's based on the 10 million gallons a day given by the city. They got a very huge increase in their consumptive use, and no one's doing anything about it. No one says anything about it. They just want to slip it off under the rug.
Why can't Minto and GL Homes pay for the reservoir?
Well, the price tag, it's a 3-phase reservoir, but
They won't build if they had to pay for the water.
that's an issue that's dealt with. South Florida Water Management gives them their permit, so
Maybe we have to get some more governors on the South Florida Water Management District. I mean, people who have some sense.
well, I'm glad that everybody in this room understands and believes that water is the most important issue facing us. You know, you hear what's happening in the Panhandle, the fights between North Florida and Atlanta with regards to water. We hear about it in California. We hear about it in Arizona. This is a national problem, and we need to really seriously look at and place water as our top priority. Or we won't have clean drinking water, or what we will have will be very expensive.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Water is such a big problem, okay, and we know it is. Why isn't there a moratorium on some of these builders building these big homes and bringing more people into, you know, Florida? I mean, if we can't give them the water, you know, there's no survival without water.
Correct. And the plan to provide that water in the future is the C-51 reservoir. And in the comprehensive plan, property owners are guaranteed, they have rights. So if you have in the comprehensive plan, or like Minto, they are guaranteed to build those 3,000 homes plus the X amount of commercial. They have a right to do that. Vavris, which is on North Lake Boulevard, they have a right to build a certain amount of homes. When you go out to the old Walsey property, they have rights, property rights, to build these homes, and they already have them. They're already existing.
Yeah, but so did DeVasta. When DeVasta built here, there was a certain thing called mitigation, and therefore we had to preserve certain lands for the future. Well, it seems to me we can mitigate those properties by saying they're going to have to be taxed at such a rate to pay for that water. Not only that, the next question is, and I think that might be for the experts, Miles particularly, if they go and they build the C-51 reservoir, okay, how are they going to keep the salt water from intruding?
Good question.
The I think this, but I haven't seen much on the C-51. I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't seen it. Exactly, a lot of the areas they've been talking about, some were quarries, and there is a problem with quarries too, as you know. With the mining, when they do mining, they use blasting, and they have, Jeff probably knows more about it than I. He was the one who informed me about some of the blasting that they do, and when they used, and they have a problem with that. But the areas what they're trying to do is, I think they're trying to take a lot of land, a farm, and they're paying the farmers to turn around and use that land to flooding. But the biggest problem I find that a lot of the water that we think that's coming our way, even in the C-51 reservoir and even the LA reservoir, that water is not coming to us, being West Palm Beach. The LA reservoir, that's going to the West Coast, which is in worse condition than we are. The C-51, like the commissioner said, Marta said, it's going to Broward County. They're running out of water.
They are. In Phase 1, we'll go to Broward County, and then there will be a Phase 2 and a Phase 3, and then Palm Beach County will have the opportunity to buy into the reservoir volume, and that volume will be ours.
The city is looking into buying too. Yeah. They don't know. The city's long-term and short-term plans are the same thing. We are in the city, as everybody knows, so that's where we get our drinking water. Right. The city is looking into that. They're looking in alternative. The city has now gotten a little more progressive with the new administrators they got. They are not only doing short-term, but they're doing long-term planning and signing it down the line. We don't know where it's going to go. It may well go into desalination, and which is a costly and very costly proposition.
One other kind of marketing question, and that is, why would people want to buy GL Homes, Minto, Veris, whatever, those properties, if they know that their water is going to be, could be tainted in the future? Well, I'm saying if we publicized that more, why would people want to buy there?
Well, why would you say that the water is going to be tainted?
Well, it's going to either be tainted or there's not going to be enough water, because certainly, I don't care on what size that reservoir is, the question is where they're getting that water from, because where the Floridian aquifer is, from what I understand, is now starting to get briny, and so consequently, and then you have the superficial aquifer, and that's in trouble. So, I mean, if that was published, okay, about how difficult it is going to be in the future, why would people want to buy homes there?
I can't answer that question.
I don't think anybody's going to buy a home, nor any public utility, whether it's a county or anybody else, is going to give you water that's tainted. Gary, the water, that's part of your thing. They have to give you potable drinking water, and the water that they're going to get is either they're going to sink wells, and or they're going to get the water from the plant number 8, or where it right under us, which would be a devastating thing, or they are going to sink. They're going to build a plant out there. They could. The county could build a plant out there. They have the infrastructure out there. The county has the infrastructure. If I'm not making some of that going out to the mega farm, is that anywhere near close to that area?
The one on the mega farm, yes, it is close to that area.
So they have
run pipe all the way.
Yeah, they have $51 million worth of infrastructure they already put out there.
And there are people out in the acreage that don't want the pipes, the water pipes and the sewer pipes. They don't want the expense. They want to stay rural, and that's why they bought out there. They like that rural lifestyle. So there are a lot of divergent views, and the county we will have to listen and make some of those very difficult decisions. But keep on top of us. I know you all do.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you've had a long day, so we should let you go home to go to
Yeah,
sleep.
we started our morning at 6:30 at the mayor's state of the city, and she did a wonderful job, did a great job. Thank you all. If there's anything that I can ever do, questions, always feel free to call. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another guest with us tonight, Rodney Archer, who's on the community response team for West Palm Beach.
I know most of you, especially Jeff, I work with on a very close basis. I am the community officer, and I've been with the city department for 10 years. I've worked everywhere from the gang units to street crime to narcotics. And it's my pleasure now to work with the communities and the business leaders trying to get us where we need to be. I'm just here basically to field any questions you guys might have, and if I don't know the answers, then I'll find out for you. But just to give you my computer keeps crashing. They worked on it and supposedly fixed it, but apparently not. Since the 1st of December until the 20th of January, we've had 8 either burglaries, robberies, or grand theft autos in the Western District. And that would be anywhere from, actually you guys are in Sector 28. I am responsible for 3 sectors. My area ranges from I-95 west to 441 and north from Okeechobee all the way up to almost 45th Street. So that's a pretty huge area. And you guys still have your sector officers in each sector, but I'm responsible for that whole wider range area. You're in Sector 28, and there were 8, actually you had 3 stolen cars, 1 burglary of an automobile in which they left the doors unlocked. We've had 2 burglaries to homes where they were occupied, 1 where the home was unoccupied, and 2 attempted to the homes. And we made 4 arrests dealing with the home burglaries. So hopefully those were the 4 individuals responsible for those 8 burglaries. We made 1 arrest for the grand theft auto, and we made 13 other arrests dealing with batteries and domestics and whatnot. One of the ways we catch these criminals is what we do are what are called FICs, which are field interview contacts. Basically, if you or a fellow resident see someone that you think might be hinky, you call us. You're the best tool we have, because I don't know what cars belong in every driveway or who belongs in each home. But if you see something, we have a Captain Tierney. He says if you see something, say something. And it's not, our chief right now, he's accountability. I'm a military man, so accountability is high on my list. And each week we have what's called ILP, which is intelligence-led policing, where each sector officer and the command staff come together, figure out what the problems are in each community and how to address them, and that works from the top of our department to the bottom. So what we do is we conduct field interview. Like I said, you call if there's someone suspicious, and we get out with that person, find out who they are, what they're doing there, and if they belong. And if they do, that's fine. I would rather you call and it be nothing than to not call and it be something important. But so if they're legitimate, then that's fine. But if they're not, at least we have a basis to start on for any crimes that have occurred. As far as safety, we've conducted 40 traffic citations to do with driving without a license, speeding, tickets for seatbelts and whatnot. But we're out here and we work in many capacities. You might not always see us unless you're sitting there by your window 100% of the day. But we're out here in marked and unmarked capacities. Sometimes we're even disguised, I'll say, as workers, you might say. But we're out here making sure that the homes aren't broken into. And we had a rough rash with Christmas, but that's all settled down now. So we've only had, like I said, eight of those crimes within the last month and a half. And none of them were in RiverWalk. So, yeah.
Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions at all?
Officer Archer?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, I call the meeting to order, and we will stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I have a motion on?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion to accept the meetings from December 17th are accepted. The President's report, I'll give a short one. As most of you know, Rich Hardy and his wife have filed petitions in bankruptcy. The sad story behind the accumulation of debts by the Hardys is not mine to tell. However, the cafe will not be affected. It will continue to be in operation during its usual hours, serving the same fine food with the same friendly staff, and still under the supervision of Rich. After his discharge from bankruptcy, which usually comes about 120 days after the filing of the petition, Rich will be relieved of his outstanding debts and will be entitled to a constitutionally mandated fresh start. At that point, the procedures dictated by the amendment to our documents relating to the cafe can be put into effect, and the association can collect and disperse funds for the cafe under these procedures. In the meantime, the board at this meeting will be presented with a resolution which, if passed, will take care of the interim period. Under rules compatible with the association's documents suggested in an opinion letter by our bankruptcy attorney, Craig Kelly, and reads as follows. Technically, the stock in Village Catering, which, by the way, is the company that was created to deal with the RiverWalk. Technically, the stock in Village Catering is an asset of the bankruptcy estate and belongs to the trustee until such time as the trustee abandons any interest in the stock of the corporation. Additionally, the discharge of debts listed in the Hardy bankruptcy will not occur for another 120 days. Under the circumstances, it would be wise to refrain from dispersing the total amount collected from the residents to Village Catering until such time as the trustee has abandoned any interest in the stock of the corporation and/or the discharge has been entered. As an interim procedure, you could treat the use of the debit cards issued to the residents as credit cards in the sense that the debit cards are used for food and are processed in the point-of-sale system of Village Catering. Reports could be provided to the board each day and funds dispersed to Village Catering the following day in the same fashion as credit card companies operate. In other words, no money will be transferred to Village Catering or Rich Hardy until a food or service transaction is completed and the homeowner has received the goods and services he or she has purchased. All of this was dependent upon Rich Hardy signing off on the resolution to be presented this evening, which he did this afternoon. Treasurer's report.
The 2013 year-end financial data, which is pre-audit, reflects income at $4,360,254, while the expenses are at $4,312,240. We basically completed 2013 on the budget target. We start 2014 financially in very positive and solid position. I just want to make a footnote to this. On the financial pages of the Palm Beach Post, periodically during the year, there's a report that's actually compiled by Bauer Financial Services, and it rates every bank that does business in southern Florida, national banks, et cetera. The two banks that we do business with, First City is rated superior and has maintained that throughout 2013. The other bank, which basically handles our hybrid CDARs, which is our reserves, is Northern Trust, and that's rated excellent, and it has been for the last 36 months. The annual financial audit is in progress. A meeting was held with the auditor to review the detailed requirements and to provide all the financial records, including the necessary journals, ledgers, and monthly reports, as well as all the other additional records of the HOA for 2013. We anticipate the process to be completed in late February or early mid-March. The Finance Committee has reviewed and approved 2 projects from the Facility Committee dealing with the equipment replacement/upgrade in the fitness center and a potential enhancement to the playground. This was covered in the 2013 budget. The Finance Committee also approved a software upgrade for the office computers, since the current version will become obsolete in the very near future. That's my report.
Thanks. Jeff, the manager's report.
The new landscape company seems to be pleasing just about everybody in the community. We're still getting a lot of rave reviews on them, and they are working hard to take care of problems that come up or concerns that property owners have. The schedule for landscape maintenance for this month will be mowing 2 times during the month of February. And as usual, the contract calls for shrub trimming and maintenance 1 time a month. Irrigation department is working really hard to try to catch up and take care of all the problems. Our biggest problem right now is that the infrastructure is nearly 20 years old throughout the entire community, and the trees are nearly 100 years old next to the pipes, and they're breaking everything. So we are we're fighting an uphill battle, trying to keep the irrigation in repair. I'm hoping shortly, with assistance from the board, to be meeting with the city to try to work out a plan regarding future infrastructure repairs that are being caused by the trees. The only thing that's noted, the maintenance staff, as time permits, is working on cleaning sidewalks, and the lead man in maintenance, Mike Smith, has advised me that we will be moving off the sidewalks and into the gutters to try to make them look clean. The annual meeting is scheduled for March 12th at 3 p.m. I don't have anything else to report to the community, and if the board has any questions on anything that I've included in the rest of my report, now's the time.
Anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Jeff. On to board reports. Dolores, social and facilities.
Okay, the activities coordinator report. There's a paint and pot workshop Saturday, February the 1st at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Come to the town center and paint some ceramic pieces, and people of any age can come. It's $5 per piece. The Kravitz Center Adult at Leisure Series at 11 a.m. for each show. Individual ticket sales are available in RiverWalk office for $15 each. Also check channel 63. The AARP Safe Driving class, Saturday, February the 8th at 8:45 to 3:30. Visit the town center to register. Bring a check and photo ID, your AARP card. It'll cost you $15 and non-members $20. Movie night sponsored by Illustrated Properties, the date to be announced, and they will have details on their door. Identity theft seminar by the PBSO, Wednesday, February 12th at 12:30, and it's an informative 1-hour session. explaining the dangers and identity theft and related issues. Our next meet and greet will be Friday, February the 21st, from 6 to 10 p.m. New residents are encouraged to come and meet existing residents, get acquainted with the RiverWalk Board of Directors. Existing residents who are social and looking to meet new people are invited to come. Please RSVP the office. Seminole Casino at Coconut Creek, $25 per person, Monday, February the 24th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Chartered bus to Seminole Casino, a $20 voucher and bus ride to and from casino with driver's tip included. BJ's membership, $40 for 15 months. And keep your eye on Channel 63 for more updates. Okay, with regard to facilities, the tennis courts, the canopies over the tennis courts areas will be repaired. There's a new chest shoulder machine at the fitness center. And Jeff and I are looking at phase 2 for the park additions, recreation park additions, small additions. That's it, folks.
Thank you, Dolores. Miles, water.
Last year, it was brought to our attention that FEMA was looking at all the properties in the city area, the county, everywhere, and they were redoing their maps. We went ahead and we submitted our data on our levels to the city, and I'm happy to report that the city, with the help of their consultants, have convinced FEMA that their maps were wrong. We are no longer in a flood zone. I received this letter, and they have taken us out of the flood zone, and there's a lot of work was done by the city, and I'd like to thank Ralph Wall from the city, and I also like to thank from Collective Water Services, which is a consultant, Liz Perez. They did an excellent job, and especially Liz, it looked like for her help that we resurrected the fact that we came right out of the water and the levels just raised magically, but we are no longer in a flood zone. That's all we have.
Thank you very much, Miles. The Security Committee?
Yes, I have a brief Security Committee report tonight, but then I will compensate with a longer Election Committee report. Lighting experiments were conducted to investigate improvements that might be achieved in nighttime images from security cameras at various locations throughout RiverWalk. Some very significant improvements were achieved. Our full Security Committee will review the results in our next meeting and establish our preferred implementation methods. We will work with our property manager to get cost estimates for the appropriate alternatives. After further review by our Security Committee and property manager, I plan to take our prioritized recommendations to the Financial Committee for their review and hopefully approval.
Thank you, Jack, Commercial Development and Town Center.
For the past several weeks, our community has been besieged by the rants, threats, and lies spread by a few residents too cowardly to record their names on their postings they sneak into our post office. We realize that many of our residents are confused as to what to believe regarding our marketplace. Point one, there was never a garnishee served against the marketplace. I personally contacted the attorney in question, and he sent me an email stating that any reference to his firm issuing such a writ was false. Point two, the RiverWalk Cafe has not, did not, and will not file for bankruptcy. This is an outright lie. More lies and rantings from residents too cowardly to sign their names on their postings. It is true, however, that Mr. Hardy has personally filed due to primarily overwhelming medical expenses to his family. The cafe, in conjunction with your association, is getting ready to post monies received by the association to each resident's patron pail card. This should be completed shortly. For the vast majority of our residents who have already sent in their $40 or $120, thank you for your patience. It has been this patience which has allowed your board the time to dot every I and cross every T to assure you that your money is safe, secure, and will only be used toward your marketplace usage. For those of you who have been affected by the rantings and rumors spread around our community and have been afraid to send in your payment, please get your payments in by the end of February or end of January. Remember, our documents state that any payments late over 30 days will incur a $30 penalty. So please write that $40 check. Save yourself the $30 penalty and stay in good standing. By the way, doesn't the cafe look fantastic? Phase 1, the remodeling of the cafe, and Phase 2, the patron pail method of paying, have been completed or are being completed. Both took longer than planned due to the outside interferences, which I just covered. Phase 3, the new kitchen, will now proceed. It may take a little longer than planned, but please be assured your board will be as careful with the association's money as we were during the first 2 phases. Thank you.
Okay, Virgil, your big election.
Okay. I've been appointed by our HOA president to be chairman of this year's election committee. I've been reviewing the process followed to select and elect directors to our HOA board and have identified a small change to the process that I would like the support of this board of directors in making. Currently, the HOA accepts resumes from the prospective candidates along with their completed notice of intent to run. If it is determined that the prospective candidate is a unit owner and is in good standing with the HOA, the individual is cleared by the election committee to be a candidate. This is the vetting prescribed by our HOA documents. To facilitate the election process, the HOA has, in the past, displayed the resume from each candidate in the RiverWalk post office and sent the set of resumes out with the ballot mailing. The intention has been to provide the resume as information to the HOA voters to aid them in their decision process. This is not required or defined by our governing documents. In this year's election, I intend to require that each submitted resume be signed and dated by the candidate to signify the candidate's ownership of the content of the resume, to provide assurance to the HOA it is in fact using an authentic resume, and to provide assurance to the HOA owners that they are reading an authentic resume. If the candidate refuses to sign and date the resume, that candidate's resume will not be displayed in the post office by the HOA and will not be included in the ballot mailing by the HOA. Such a refusal will have no effect on any other aspect of the election process. That person will still be a candidate, and that person will still be listed on the ballot as defined by our governing documents and may participate in candidates' night. I feel the HOA has a responsibility to do what it reasonably can to ensure that it is providing authentic information to our voting members to use in their decision process. And I ask that the Board of Directors signify their support of this process by a show of hands. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then I will proceed with the implementation of this. Now on to part 2 of my report. The house we live in, if not the largest, it's certainly one of the largest financial investments for most of us. To protect this sizable investment, it is so very important that our board of directors is filled with the most competent people we have in the community. Please urge people you respect to become involved in our community and consider running for a position on our board of directors. As stated in the January 7th mailing to HOA members announcing this year's election, intent to run forms must be completed and returned to the RiverWalk office no later than 5 p.m. Friday, January 24th. Yes, that is this coming Friday. Let's strive to have a large, highly qualified number of candidates from which to select our leadership. On Tuesday, February 11th at 7:30, we plan to conduct our annual candidates night so that residents can see the candidates in action, hear what they have to say about running our community, and respond to pre-submitted questions. Please plan to attend this meeting or watch it live or rebroadcast on Channel 63. I implore each of you to consider each candidate's qualifications very carefully and get to really know all about each person. Make sure the 3 candidates you vote for are people you are very comfortable with being responsible for the value of your largest investment. And by all means, cast an informed vote. This is the most influence you will have on the management of RiverWalk for another year. Yes, you can express your opinion, make suggestions, serve on committees during the year, but voting for the board of director membership is, I feel, the most influence an individual will have on the management of RiverWalk for another year. Don't let this be a missed opportunity. Please exercise your right and obligation to vote, and make sure your friends and neighbors also cast an informed vote. On March 12th, the annual meeting will be held and the ballots will be opened and tabulated to determine which 3 candidates will serve on the board of directors to manage one of your most expensive investments. Be sure that you are a party to that selection. There are 1,367 units in RiverWalk, and therefore only 342 proxies cast. Just 25% are required for a quorum to constitute a valid election. Let's strive to make this a 100% participation year so it isn't just a very few who decide who will be managing our most valuable asset. Thank you.
Well, you just destroyed my career.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You mentioned about questions. Should we start getting those in now for candidates night? When do you want them?
Once we know who the candidates are, and the election committee meets at the end of the day on Friday, then the notice will go up regarding submitting the questions. Yes.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
But I felt it was appropriate to wait until we know who the candidates are, and then we will start that process.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good question.
Any other questions? The next item, the Civic Committee, is made up of Len Finzi, who is in the city right now supporting the mayor in a city matter. So he will not be giving us our civics lesson at this board meeting. We have a board action, and Dolores will read it.
I move that the association commence the implementation of the prepayment plan for the cafe, which was authorized by the amendment to our documents as approved by a majority of our homeowners, subject to the following procedural rules. 1, $9,000 of the prepayment funds will be loaned to the cafe in advance to pay for other incidental remodeling costs and also to set up the credit card program described herein. The association, Richard Hardy, and Village Catering agree The funds turned over in advance belong to the contributing homeowners and are part of their pre-purchase of cafe's goods and services, which will be charged against their accounts at the time in the amount of purchases made at the cafe. 2, Rich Hardy, Village Catering, by Wednesday at 8 a.m. of the following week, will submit a detailed report showing each homeowner's charges for the prior week, as well as that homeowner's available remaining balance of funds. A check will be cut for the cafe account to cover the above-described charges and made available at RiverWalk's office on the following Friday. 3, CAMS Plus will provide a report of any homeowners' funds already received, and these funds will be credited to the appropriate accounts. Thereafter, CAMS Plus will report the amount to each homeowner's account on the last day of each quarterly payment period, as specified in the amended documents.
Second.
Discussion?
I think it's clear.
Questions?
Very
I think
clear.
it's specific enough.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And no one's against. So the resolution has passed. We now have public comments.
Sign that.
And I'm striking on agenda items. Whatever you want to say. Anybody?
I move we adjourn.
Any second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done deal?